Hello, 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 and welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. Thank you for being here. If this is the first time, I say it, not spray it, if this is the first time you have ever come across this Monday Motivation, maybe somebody has shared it with you, maybe somebody has commented on it and you've been curious as to what it is, then welcome. These Monday Motivations are designed for one reason and one reason only: to motivate your Monday, to motivate your morning, and even your week. So welcome and thank you for watching. So this week is all around being authentic, and I guess it's authentic and coming across well. So if you, like the other vibers there, have hopped on and you're having a watch, you can either watch in the background or you can, like Alan, type in the box below and say good morning. So good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining me. So, what am I talking about? Coming across authentically well, and why is this a subject and a matter for Monday Motivation? Well, I thought I would cover it this week because for quite some time, for quite some years in fact, people always ask me, like, how are you so articulate, and what did you do to be able to say this thing in this way? And this is from this has been, over the matter of years, from my peers, from clients, from you guys, the vibers, as I affectionately call you, from all sorts of places. I remember back in April, I was speaking at a conference, an industry conference, and a guy came up to me afterwards and was asking me some questions about the talk that I'd just given, and some other things that kind of came up in topic of conversation, and I later found out when we connected that he is a director of a company. I'm not going to say which one, obviously, but a director of a company. And whilst he has a lot of gravitas on the board, while he has a lot of gravitas within the business, he wanted to really communicate and articulate some of the ideas, some of the strategies that he wanted to convey within his business and within his teams and the people that worked for him. And again, it was the same thing, how do I articulate well while becoming authentic? So the reason I share this is, this isn't gender specific, whatever gender you are, people ask me this all the time. This will be relevant for you. Whether you're an employee or whether you are self-employed and running your own business, this will still be very specific for you. So I thought I would share some nuggets, just to kind of motivate you, to help you along your way, but also to motivate you. And because it's Monday and the start of a fresh new week, I don't want to overstuff your brains with like lots and lots of things for you to go off and do. I want to inspire and motivate you to go forward, because I really believe that our message, our words, and our lives matter. And if we can start to convey what we're passionate about, what we love to do in the world, regardless of whether we're self-employed or employed, we really feel the benefits of making a difference. So before I get too carried away, I want to just thank you so much for joining me. I want to give a good big shout out again to Alan, who was first off the blocks to say good morning, Jenny. We have the lovely Teresa Young saying good morning all, and we have Faye. Now, just to give you an idea, this is demographically, I know you guys are based in the UK. I also know that we do have some viewers that watch late at night in the US, which is amazing to me. And a couple of viewers, one that watches from Australia and one that watches from New Zealand. So it's actually that they're Monday afternoon, which I always think is funny because they are in our future. And the future always looks bright, especially for me on a Monday morning. So acknowledging you and waving to you guys on there. And if, by the way, you're watching this on the replay, please feel free to jump in and add your comments and thoughts as well too. But the main thing is, Monday morning gets such a bad rap. In fact, Mondays get a bad rap. There's been songs written about I don't like Mondays and all sorts of things. So, if that's you or if that's someone you know, please share this with them. Please give them a different style and a different start to their Monday. Okay, so coming across well and coming across authentically. And while I remember, for those of you that are based in the UK or can get to the UK quite easily, I do have a one-day event that's happening on the 17th of this month, which is in a week and a half's time. It is actually a small and intimate event. It's not going to be a big room filled with people, and there's a specific reason for it. It's the Ultimate Visibility Bootcamp, and it's a way for you to clarify your message, which actually ties in quite nicely with what I'm going to say today and share today too. But a way for you to clarify your message so that when you are going out there and promoting your products, services, your brand, even your organisation, that what you say makes sense to the people who are listening. And it also makes sense to the people who are destined to work with you, buy from you, collaborate with you, work with your company or organisation. Enough of that though. I am going to be... Faye says she's been loving Mondays recently. This is a thing when it's like we're filled of the joys of spring and summer and autumn and winter. So, yesterday, I spent the day with a lovely lady called Rosetta Thurman and some other of her tribe who are based here. In fact, there were people that came in, not only just from London, there were people that came in from areas of the UK. One lady that I spoke to who was hilarious, Michelle, I so hope that she starts putting her videos out in the world, flew in from Paris, although she's originally from America, via all sorts of different places, 8 countries, no doubt, in the world. There was another Brit in the room who actually now lives in the USA and flew over for the event. And it was just so great to see people come together. So one of the things that I want to talk about that people often dismiss when it comes to being articulate and putting themselves out there and being clear so that the people around them know what they're talking about and what they say. One of the things that people often miss is that straight off the bat, being with other people, like even being on this Facebook Live and you guys all sort of saying good morning to each other, and that sense of community and that sense of, you know what, you're not on your own, is a really, really cool thing to do. The sense of being, together in the same room, like amplifies that even more. And I think it was Alan. I remember meeting Alan. I don't know if it was the first time. Yeah, it was the first time I met Alan in the flesh. Like 4 years ago, something like that, in Nottingham. And I remember Alan saying to me, I really like watching your work and I love how you convey things, online and in the group. But meeting you in the flesh, there's like just a different element to it. It's almost like, I think he said there's something like more dynamic, and I kind of blushed and said thank you. And it's true, and I wish I could say that was just about me, but it isn't. It's about you too. So having the opportunity to come together and meet people, whether it's live online like this, whether it's online on, there's a service out there called Zoom, which is a bit like GoToMeeting, or whether it's actually live and in person in a room, or in a conference or in a seminar, or at an event or at a retreat, really helps to amplify things. And here's why. Because then you get to have a conversation with the people around you, and you get to say, like, you actually get to roll those words like off your tongue, off the keyboard and into somebody else's ears. And that can make a difference. So whether it's a business networking, whether it's a brainstorming group, whether it's a mastermind group, whether it's a small group program, or whether you're in the corporate space and you're an employee, and whether it's having a wash up after a meeting, whether it's the actual meeting itself and you're brainstorming, whether it's getting the team together and just like banding around some ideas. That element is really, really important. That coming together is really important to help you to get clarity and to articulate. And like I say, really roll the words around your mouth. People often comment about how I come across on video. And, I've done over 3,000 videos and Facebook Lives combined now. And I just think to myself, I'd love to say, it's because of something other than this. But it's actually because I have had the opportunity to roll the words around my tongue, countless of times like this, which is quite interesting because I'm going to actually voice it's not quite an elephant in the room per se, but for those of you who follow me on social media will know that on Thursday I was due to be on an interview on the BBC, on the radio, and I made it on there, everything was cool, asked the first question, and then they couldn't hear me. And the line just wasn't a great connection. And, I could have I was disappointed, obviously, not to be able to talk about video, which is something I love, and talk about how we can, put that kind of stuff across. It was disappointing to me, but at the same time, people were saying to me just before, aren't you nervous about doing this? And I said, no, not really. It wasn't that I was speaking about a subject that I hadn't thought about before. I was talking about video. I was talking about interviews. I was talking about career and business, What's not to love about that? But I think the fact that I've been in groups of people where over the years I've been able to say, what do you think of that? Does this make sense? And actually roll it around my tongue so many times, means and meant then as well that I'm literally ready anytime, any place, anywhere. And that's normally how, for those of you that want to add your voice, add your message, add your words to media, for many of you, it's just a case of being ready, because you will literally get a call, normally at no notice, to be able to speak or to be requested to go into the studio. So one of the things that I found really helpful about that was just being ready. So as disappointing as it was, I'm going to be back there around 11:30, according to the news segments and how it all runs, and the scheduling. But 11:30 today, I will be back. So if you have 5 minutes to listen, great. If not, and you want to go onto the BBC website and listen back to the show, that would be great too. Maybe you want to phone in and contribute to the conversation as well. You never know, that would be a really great thing to do too. So the reason why I was just purely excited about that particular opportunity and not too disheartened was because I kind of got to know my words. And this evolves through time too. It's like the more you say it, the more clarity you get on it. People often think that in order to be articulate, you have to have a one and done message, the perfect elevator pitch or 60-second pitch, and that's it. But that is not true at all. So I want you to know that that's what's possible. So the other things around articulating well, now you've got almost like a soundboard of people around you and ears that are receptive to your ideas and not trying to tell you that you're too big for your boots, that you need to tone it down a bit, that what on earth can you be thinking? Why on earth would you want to do this thing now? Are you sure that you can combine being a makeup artist with making people feel beautiful on the inside, and all of the things that you've probably heard 101 times before? Now, a couple of things that you can do. Keep on being open to learning. Now, I know that some of you are really great at this, and you'll attend courses and things like that, and that's great. One of the things that I would encourage you to do, and I see this a lot in the personal development space, funnily enough, is where we've learnt about something, so we kind of switch off and say, no, I already know that. Whenever I attend anything, even at yesterday's event, I really wanted to go and see Rosetta because she's a phenomenal force. Her brand is the Happy Black Woman. There's a picture of her just underneath this post, I think, that I posted yesterday. And I just think that whenever we go into a space and we want to learn something, even if we already know about the subject matter, it's part of the mastery of things. What I tend to do is I go in with a beginner's mind. And here's why learning with a beginner's mind actually helps to articulate well so that people get what you do. When you go in with a beginner's mind, you cut away, you eradicate all the chatter that says, hey Ivona, thank you for popping on, I'm waving at you. You eradicate all that chatter that says, I know this, and you start to invite you come from a space of, I don't know this, even though you might have come across it before. You come from a space where you are now not continually playing the I know this already, or as Teresa says in her comment here, keep educating yourself. Key is an acronym for those of you that will watch this back on YouTube later. Keep educating yourself. It's not just about the words going around in your head that say, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know, I've done this before. It's about then being really receptive to listening. Now, the reason that I emphasise this is on the 17th at the boot camp, I'm going to be talking about part that listening plays, especially when you are selling your higher end services. So for those of you that either sell for a business or sell for your own business, there'll be things that you sell of a kind of a standard ticket. But I work with a lot of people privately and in small groups actually who want to sell a product or service for around the kind of like £1,500, £2,000 mark, and some people more. The most expensive program I've sold personally in my business was a £21,000 program. And the way in which you sell those is very, very different from the way in which you might sell a workshop or which you might sell a online course, for example, that might be of a lower price point. So when you go into a space of learning, number one, it's the attitude, it's the motivation behind it. You're open to learning, you're open to receiving new ideas, you're open to building on what you have already done, what you can already do, and how you can do it differently and better. So just as I take a sip of water there, because I'm starting to sound a bit like Madge from Neighbours, for those of you old school enough to remember that. It's a good way for you to be able to listen, to be more receptive, to be more open, and to hear the needs of your actual people. It was so funny listening to people around the room recently who were talking about how they wanted to kind of go out there and find new business and generate leads and things like that, but haven't just practiced that skill of being in a beginner's mind, continual learning, and listening out for what people are saying. And the key to that is it becomes more clear as to what people need. This is something that I've learnt by trial and error over the years and become better at, and think, gosh, there's so much more room even for improvement, even though I teach this stuff too. So being in a space of being able to continually learn, keep learning for yourself, and being receptive to learn with a beginner's mind. So whenever I attend any kind of training, even if it's a subject that I know about, or from a person that I've learnt from before, I sit in the space of imagining that I've never heard of this person before, never heard anything that they've taught, and I take it from there. And the light bulb moments, quite frankly, are astounding. So that's something that is helpful to you, because then when you go out and then you're doing your stuff in the world, you start to find that people really get a sense of what you do, why it's important, who it's for, who it's not for, and it takes the strain out of that. It means that whatever you're planning for your week, whether you're planning to promote something, whether you're planning to do some admin behind your business, whether you're planning to take time off, that you actually can, because those layers are sorted. So if anyone's got any questions about that, I'm about to wrap up. I'm just going to go back and make sure I haven't missed the comments. Faye's gone off to get ready, and she says, hopes everyone has a yellow Monday, which I think means a pretty happy Monday. And Teresa was saying, again, the acronym keep yourself is key. Keep educating yourself. Keep yourself educated would not be an acronym for key. So thank you so much for joining me this Monday. If you want to find out more about what I'm up to in the next few days even, I had a very busy week last week, between the radio, speaking at a business retreat for a couple of days, going to see the lovely Fabienne Fredrickson in London, and catching up with Rosetta yesterday, who, as I say, if you don't know of her brand, she's Happy Black Woman. Do have a look on Facebook. She's got quite a few likes there, and the reason that I like banging the drum of Rosetta and the work she does is, a lot of people come to me and say, oh, Jenny, that I'm an introvert, and or I'm an ambivert, and I don't really like putting myself out there. And Rosetta shows that with over 500,000 likes, yes, 500,000 likes there on Facebook, that it's totally possible to be putting your work and yourself and everything you do out there in the world in a way that feels good to you, even if you don't like going out there, you don't like doing these things. So thank you so much. And I want to give a shout out. There's a couple of people who I want to acknowledge, because yes, you might be watching this live. Yes, you might be watching this on the replay, or you might even be watching this through my YouTube channel. And by the way, if you're watching this and you didn't even know I had a YouTube channel, literally you can Google Jenny Kovacs on YouTube, please go over there and subscribe, because you do get bits of content over there that sometimes don't get shared anywhere else. But here's what I want to say. I want to really shout out and acknowledge a couple of people on here. You'll notice that they've got a top fan badge. These are prolific business owners in themselves. Let me just say that. I know that there might be a thought that you might think, oh, well, this person's on this Facebook Live and so they're learning from a place of they don't know their stuff. And that's totally not true. In fact, a high percentage of people that learn from me, I reckon from my own statistics, it's around 96% of people that learn from me are professionals in their own right, are experts in their own right. And they come to fill their cup up here, and they likely do it in other places too. But here's the thing that I want you to know. So I'm going to give an extra special shout out to you, Ivona, and you, Teresa, who have got the top fan logos on there. And here's why. Both Teresa and Ivona are business owners in their own right. They teach people in their own right. They run their own events in their own right, and they do it in the most phenomenal way. And they still show up regularly on lots of my lives. Not only do they learn, they contribute, they bring people together, which is no surprise given that both of them work in the areas of personal relationships. And I know that Ivona helps you to get relationship ready. So if you're one of these people that are in my corporate space and you're like slugging your guts out and you're thinking to yourself, but I would like to meet someone, then, do check out Ivona's work, because she will help you to get relationship ready and keep relationship ready. And then we've got Teresa, who's at Teresa, I keep mispronouncing your name, Teresa, who's a master coach, and will be able to help you in your relationships in a very different way. So I want to acknowledge you both. Thank you for being top fans, and thank you for wearing your badge with pride. I honour you and I honour the work you do, and thank you for honouring the work that I do too. So thank you for joining me on this Monday Motivation. Your message matters. Your voice matters, your words matter, and this is the reason why I do the work that I do. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an absolutely phenomenal Monday, and if you have time around 11:30, I will post something on this page as well. Come and join me on the BBC radio show while I talk about video and jobs and all things great like that. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of love to you all. Bye for now.